Welcome back to the set. It's another feature interview here on EHC-TV. My name is Daron Vaught, and joining me today, Mary Kay Briggs, the college's chaplain. Mary, thanks for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks. Good to be here.
And Mary, I mentioned you're the chaplain. That can be sort of an ambiguous position, I know, in the minds of a lot of people. What exactly are some of your responsibilities as the chaplain?
Well, some of my responsibilities as the chaplain here at the college are to supervise the student spiritual life groups. I also work with faculty, staff, and students if there's a crisis situation. I just do a lot of one-on-one with different students, and I'm also teaching a class this semester.
Oh, great. What class are you teaching?
I'm teaching Religion 200, the Introduction to the Christian Faith.
How's that going? Is that your first time teaching?
It is my first time teaching a college-level course, and it's going well. It's hard. You have to stay ahead of the students.
Well, is that something that you see yourself doing maybe in the foreseeable future? I'm
supposed to teach one class a year,
okay.
So every spring probably.
Well, great. And I know you mentioned some spiritual life groups. You head up CCF. So for our viewers who maybe aren't familiar with CCF on Emory Henry College's campus, describe that. What is CCF?
Well, Campus Christian Fellowship is a group of students who meets every Tuesday night at supper time in the cafeteria. We go through the line and get our meal, and we meet usually in the Humphreys room. And it's a group that focuses on fun and Christian fellowship and also on service.
And speaking of which, I mentioned in the open that spring break is a big time for you guys. You're going to the Dominican Republic. Is this, how many years have you been doing this?
This is our second year going to the Dominican Republic. We went for the first time last year.
Okay. So what all do students and yourself do while in the Dominican Republic?
Well, this year what we're planning to do is lead a vacation Bible school for high school students, and also we're going to probably be doing some painting in the afternoons, and we hope to squeeze in a little fun because where we're going is really close to the beach. So.
Oh, great. How many students are going?
We have 11 students and 2 staff members going.
That's great. Compared to last year, you mentioned the things you guys are planning on doing this year. Are there more things involved after you know the area? You've been there one time. Have you been able to implement more things into the program this year?
Well, last year we worked with a lot of students from, I think, 5th grade all the way up through seniors in high school, and we only met with each group or worked with each group for a little while during the week. And so this year we requested to work with fewer students so that we could spend more time with them, so that we could build more relationships with them.
And Mary, I understand that you're an Emory Henry alum yourself.
I am.
How have these trips and these opportunities really benefited the students in a way that you see is different from some, some of the opportunities that you may have had when you were a student here?
Well, when I was a student here, we sure had opportunities to do lots of different things, and there were lots of student groups. But back in the day, back then, mission trips and spring break trips weren't so much the norm and what people did. So it's really a whole new world as far as when I was here as a student.
Yeah, a whole new world. The Dominican Republic. Just describe some of the culture that you've seen. I know we've had various students on here who study abroad, and we talk about just the differences in culture going from the United States to another country. What's it like in the Dominican Republic?
Well, I mean, in lots of ways, the Dominican Republic is like it is here. I mean, they have cities and they have, rural areas, and the place where we will be working is a rural area. Of course, it's a pretty small island, too. So what I liked about it last year especially was we were really, like I said, we were close to the beach, so we made several trips to do that. The people that we work with, though, in general, don't have as much as we have here, and so we are also trying to work with them and help them develop their Christian faith, as well as help provide the painting that we'll be doing this year. But the people in the Dominican Republic are primarily Catholic, the people who are Christian, but they don't really practice Catholicism quite so much. And so this is the school that we go to work with, is a Protestant school, and so we're hopefully will help them develop their faith in Jesus Christ.
How does that work? I know that you said they don't necessarily, they are Catholic, but they don't necessarily devote themselves completely into that. How as a missionary in that trip, how do you go about persuading them from one to the other? That's a harsh word to use, I guess, but.
Well, I think that most of the people that we work with, the students that we work with, are involved with the Protestant church there. So so I don't think that we're trying to persuade them from being, one thing into being another, but just help them become stronger Christians as a whole.
With interacting with the people, you mentioned they're not as fortunate in most cases. Are there any specific memories, things that you really took with you after your first trip to the Dominican Republic last year?
Well, I brought with me, I think, the realization that those the students that we work with really love to work with the students who we take down there with us, and they speak mostly Spanish, but we had a good time trying to teach each other the languages of our homeland. We would help them with their English, and they would try to help us with our Spanish, although I think we're kind of hopeless in that situation, most of us anyway.
So it was communicable, though, even though they're Spanish speaking, and the majority of students, I guess some of them had maybe moderate knowledge of the Spanish language, the students that you took?
Yes, we had a couple who had moderate knowledge, one in particular, so that was helpful. But we also have a full-time translator while we're there, too.
Well, great. Mary, is this something that it maybe could grow? Obviously, you said it's the second year you're doing the trip to the Dominican. Are there other trips that you may have in mind for the CCF in the future besides the Dominican?
Well, last year we only took 5 people. We took 3 students and 2 staff members, and so this year it's grown from taking 3 students to taking 11. So that's a huge growth from last year. And I think we're always looking for different opportunities, whether they would be abroad or at home, to go to places that are in cultures that are different from our own, so that we can not only, I don't know, sometimes we look at it as like we're taking Jesus to them, but lots of times when we get there we find out that they know Jesus better than we do. So I think it's really a cultural exchange is where the benefit of the program is.
Mary, would you mind elaborating on that a little bit? Sort of, going there to teach them the lesson and in fact getting the lesson yourself. Maybe you have a specific example of such?
Well, the first time I went on a trip like this, I went to the country of Estonia, and it had not been out of communism very long, and I thought, oh, well, we're going to go there and we're going to teach these people about Jesus because they won't have heard of him before. And we got there, and they were such strong Christians. We were really impressed with that. So what they really needed was they needed our physical help to rebuild their camp and their churches. So they shared their faith with us that inspired us in a way that we never even imagined.
And Mary, you've probably touched on this with bits and pieces of answers to other questions, but one last question I want to ask you is, why are these trips important to you, taking Emory and Henry students overseas into other countries to do mission work?
Well, just like study abroad, I think that it's very important for us to be in touch with and experience cultures other than our own, so that we can realize that everybody doesn't live the way that we live, and it also helps us just to learn how to communicate with people who are different than we are, and learn that they're people just like we are.
Well, that's great. We certainly hope you have the best time in the Dominican Republic next week. We want to wish you the best of luck, and also have fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it for your feature interview. Brent Treesh is on the road again. He's got this week's Out and About.